but then I figured better sooner than never, I guess. So about 12 hours left until May INI, and I just thought I should share a few insights on what you can do just before the exam and what you can do during the exam to give you that little edge, at least from my own experience. So, as I've always mentioned, INA is more of a mindset game. It's not really about how much you know, all that matters. Ultimately, it's about whether you can hold your own in that 3 hours of, rigorous testing. Obviously, it's challenging to answer 200 questions in 180 minutes. So, it really depends on how you arrange your time, how well you organize your time in each set to make sure you're attempting whatever questions needed to be attempted. And it also means you're leaving the questions that are meant to be left, because not every question has to be answered. So first of all, there's no more time for FOMO. There's no more time of thinking, I've missed this or I've missed that particular material. There is no more time for you to think about that, because ultimately it doesn't matter. There are an infinite number of ways of achieving a top rank in INI. The way I did it is going to be different from the way someone else has done it, and it really doesn't matter what you've read, as long as you've covered most of the important topics. There's just a few core concepts that everyone has to know, right? And keep in mind that you've done whatever you can until now, so there's no changing that anymore. So let it be. Don't even think about it. And ultimately, your GT scores will never determine your final rank. So don't go by that, and don't go within a mindset that just because your rank was in the thousands means it's always going to be stuck in the thousands, because no one can predict what takes place in the main exam. Just like if you were following the IPL, which you should not have because you were studying, but let's say you were watching the IPL and now Kohli had scored two ducks in a row, and then he comes back in the third match and scores a century. So just because you were having a bad patch doesn't mean you can still you can't improve anymore. There's always scope for improvement. So tomorrow just might be your day, and there is always a luck factor that plays a role in these exams. And feeling stress is very, very normal. It is a physiological response, so don't be stressed about being stressed, if that makes sense. So stress keeps you going. It is adrenaline. It will help you recall things that were way back in your subconscious. Maybe one line you read 4 years ago might just come back because of that stress. So it's okay to have a little bit of stress. It keeps you going in the exam. It will keep you awake. It will keep you more attentive. So some small tips. Day before, you need to sleep well. It is already 9 o'clock, so you should be sleeping max by 11, I would say. Hopefully you are close to your exam center. If it's in the same city, then you are quite fortunate, and if you are not, I hope you are close by. Sleep well, right? You talk to your closest people, have a one last pep talk. Talk to yourself if that's something that you do, and think good things. Manifestation is actually quite important, quite essential. It kind of works. You need to go in with a positive mindset. Don't be scared of having missed some things. It happens to everyone. You cannot finish everything just before the exam, right? Last minute revision rarely helps out. So I think being stressed that you haven't read these topics is not going to help you out much. It's okay if you could not finish your complete revision, because you should have finished a couple of cycles by now, and part of it is already in your head. So don't be rushed about trying to finish topics the night before the exam, because it will rarely come in the main exam. So it's better to be well rested and be able to retain what you've already learned over the past few months. That is more important. So on the day of exam, try to wake up a little early, right? If your exam is at like 9 o'clock, so don't wake up at 8. Try to wake up at like 6:30 maybe, and earlier if you're a little far from the center. Get out of that sleepy head. Take a shower, whatever, to get you going. Eat a light breakfast. Don't try to trigger a gastrocolic reflex in the exam. Do not overdose on caffeine if you drink coffee or if you take energy drinks. Don't go beyond your normal usual intake. It has a risk of causing arrhythmias. You're already stressed, and then plus that caffeine is going to push you into tachy. So you're gonna have palpitations. It's not worth it. So reach your exam center well in advance, at least half an hour to an hour before the report. I mean, before the closing time. So closing time is probably 9 o'clock. So be there by 8:15 at least, and make sure that whatever formalities have to be done. There's going to be a queue. There's going to be checking and whatnot. Carrying your admit card and your ID proof. Don't mess those things up, because I've seen it every exam that I've gone to. People have messed those basic things up, and part of going to an exam is making sure the things that are in your control are taken care of. So small things like this should not be missed. Make sure you have a proper ID proof. Sometimes they don't accept these Aadhaar card printouts. So if you have a driver's license or something else, make sure you have that physical ID proof. Small things like this. Right, wear simple clothes, don't wear jewelry, all that basic stuff. You can literally go in your night clothes and it doesn't matter. No one is going to bother about it. Don't drink too many fluids. Restrict your water intake a little, because it is not a good idea to go to the bathroom during the exam. Try to avoid before. If you are going to the bathroom during the exam, they're going to check you before you use the bathroom, and then once you're done, they're going to check you again. So that will cause you some time loss apart from your bathroom use. So don't do it. Time is very, very important in INI. So once the exam starts, right? Obviously, one of the scariest things is when you see a new question, a new concept that you think you haven't seen before. The easiest thing to do is just mark it for review and skip. Okay, you have to remember you have 45 minutes for 50 questions. Your time is priority. So don't lose time on a new question. Mark it for review, go to the next question, and make sure out of the 45 minutes, you can spend up to 30-ish minutes on, say, 35 questions. So assuming there are 35 easy to moderate questions in a set, those should be done within 25 to 30 minutes. Then you leave yourself some 15 minutes to solve the 15 hard questions. It gives you some time to read through the question, find a keyword, and rule out options, because that takes time. Read the question twice, especially if it's a long or difficult question. Look for the keywords and make sure you look for that except or not. When I was writing INI, they were highlighting these words, which made it much easier. So I hope that's the same this time. Rule out options. So suppose you get an easy question like, what is the policeman of the genome or something, and let's say there's P53 and the others are like some really easy ones. Make sure the answer is P53 and make sure it is not the other three options. For instance, it's just an example. Then many people have texted me asking, how do you secure rank 1? And I would say the number one thing that ended up in me getting rank 1 is, do not go for glory. And by that I mean, you do not have to get 200 questions right in INI to get rank 1. So I had got 160 correct in November INI, and 160 was enough to get you into the top 10, which means you can afford to lose 40 questions. By that I don't mean you have to get 40 wrong. That means you can leave a few questions also. So I think that is the main change that I had made from my previous exams, is learning to leave questions that are not easy, that are unlikely to be solved, that are completely new. It's okay to leave questions, because each negative mark costs you. And it's also important to remember that not every exam is the same in each session. Some exams are particularly easy and others are not. For instance, the first ever INI that I gave, which was in November 2024, I would say that paper is probably the easiest of any INI, and it was a very high scoring exam. So you could score, toppers were scoring 170 plus in the top 10s, right? And when it came to May 2025, that dropped to a 165ish. And you could uh, I mean, like for example, in November 2024, I had scored some 144 corrects, and my rank was 2,800. In May 2025, I had scored 142 corrects, but my rank was around 700. So the same number of corrects does not guarantee you the same rank. It is different. It is like a different cricket pitch each time. So make sure you understand what the paper is like. Is it an easy paper? Is it a hard paper? You will get a sense of it during the first set itself. And likewise, you can adjust your guessing pattern and how many you're attempting, how many you're leaving, right? So, and if you feel like the exam is particularly hard, don't panic, because chances are, if it's hard for you, it's harder for everyone also, right? Everyone is at more or less the same level. So you do not have to score 100% in this exam. If you want rank 1, you just have to be better than the second best person, if that makes sense. So that is basically a very crisp version of what I wanted to tell you guys. All the best and do well tomorrow. I will be excited to see what the paper is like. Um, I want to see how many I can solve, and how it goes. So good luck and see you on the other side. Bye.